Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. I wanted to do some knitting on video just because I wanted to get this tarot bag finished tonight so on camera or video I could knit it up. This is what I have so far. So this is from the Garden Samplers cowl. I used the chart to make the bags. It fits the decks perfectly. And for I suppose the standard size deck. And I've done the chart with the people on them. Now I'm gonna do the bird, so I've made progress on it. So it's light, but it's here. If you could see that. And this is the other one that I've done on another tear bag. If I was putting to the right thing. I do want to cast on, but I want to finish something because I have the needles for the bag to do another tarot bag, and I did buy yarn for another Algebira pouch. But I also want to cast on a garment, even though I technically have two on the needles right now, but I am kind of thinking that like it's okay. Well, I'm thinking with like the blue and yellow one that I have here. I have had it on the needles for so long because I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it because of the peaches and cream that I used before. I've used it in like dishcloths, but then when I tried knitting it in a garment, it was really dense to a point where like it was hard to move my needles. So I switched my needles a couple of times. I had wooden needles before, and then I switched to my stainless steel needles. I was trying to increase the needle size to see how that would be, if it would give like a little, the yarn would give a little bit, but I ended up just switching out the yarn, and it's the, I love this cotton yarn in the colorway Buttercup, and this is really nice. It knits up so it feels like so effortlessly because it's meant for garments. And I do have two other ones that I'll put in for another project, but this is my extra, not my extra skein. I will need it at some point for the project, but I'm on the first skein right now. So I'm happy that I ripped it out because I do love this project. I really love how it turned out. Like with the short rows and the blue Premier yarn. It's a it's a cotton blend. So the I love this cotton. It's 100% cotton. This one has majority of cotton, um, but it's 85 85% cotton, 15% polyester. So I think that's a great percentage for this. And it's my dollar store yarn. So since I got the second skein on sale, the Buttercup colorway, I would say it's it's around $18. It's less than $20 for the whole garment. And I might not even use all the blue for this. So it is super fun. I'm using other needles on here. These are like the Nurse Pride acrylic. They do feel like you're knitting with acrylic, but I don't mind them because it's mainly with metal that I am more picky about. And then for my ginger shorties, I just love the ginger shorties so much that I don't really um I'm not really on the hunt for like wooden needles per se. I love everything about the ginger shorties. So I have this Patagonia yarn and it's in the colorway Anthracite, Juniper, Moon, Patagonia in the colorway Anthracite for this project, and it's attached to my test knit sweater that I'm just knitting the body of right now. I'm not going to pull from any other point of this yarn and with other projects because that would just mean I would pull it at a random part and then it will just stop at a random point because I did want to cast on the cardigan with the Richisaria Brusca, and I got this the other day. I'm so excited to cast it on. But for right now, I want to at least finish something, and I this is all over the place. Sorry. Good thing I didn't make this a video about this and the things that all like the knitwear that I'm going to carry on the plane because well I'll check some of them in. I was gonna try to mix it up a little bit with like the stuff I'm gonna carry on and then stuff I'm gonna check in because I do want to bring majority of like the stuff that I've knit up. I was seeing and looking through the stuff and I I do use my garments a lot, the ones that I've knit. So um, it's definitely useful there, and it's super hot here, so I'm sure it'll be okay. And well, I think it'd be definitely ideal for that temperature. And I did knit on the Pray for Ukraine mittens, the second one. So this one I'm about three-quarters finished, and I'll wash it, and that's when the yarn just binds to itself and it um, blossoms. And I feel like it gets better like the more that it dries, like after you wash it. So this one has my sunflower ones. I do knit on it when I'm out most of the time, just because in here, um, since the chart has so many like the graph or chart has a lot of detail to it, like squares. Um, it's easier to do it like when I'm out and at a coffee table or something because I've been using my protractor because it just makes it so easy to just quickly go through each round because you don't have to concentrate as hard to look at where you're at because the chart is so like vast. And this I don't use the protractor for a lot of things, but I just felt like it's so useful for that. And plus I bought it um, for the pencil when I was taking that IELTS test for the immigration English test. So it was mandatory, and I thought like there was a possibility that it was important to have like a number two pencil, but then they didn't have like number two pencils that were just wooden. They just had the mechanical ones, and on the email it said no mechanical. But then when I got there, they gave out like mechanical pencils, so like I don't know. But I was happy that I finished it. At that point, I was like just relieved that it was over and done with. Um, I was thinking I was gonna go to do errands today, but my godmother is having guests over tomorrow, and she knows I'm not that social, so she's like, you can go out like around noon and then maybe come back around like 11, 12 o'clock because she'll use the basement. And I am in the room in in the basement, so I will just do stuff tomorrow. I was actually gonna get leashes for the cats tomorrow, and I've said this in other videos, but for the first time, I'm gonna knit while I'm talking. For the first time in like the years that I've had the cats, someone asked if they could adopt the cats. So I thought it was like good timing, and I was preparing to get the cats to like get their pet passports, possibly their certifications if that country required it, because some do. Um, the things that they had to do at the vet. So it it's been an adventure, and I know that's like it's chill right now, but I feel like when the time comes, it's always so sad. But I know that they're gonna have like happy time like in a family setting because they do get along well with like people. They're pretty chill cats. I think because I've moved so much and then they've been exposed to so many environments, that they are just so like whatever about things, or they're pretty well tempered. The only thing is like I'm not that I don't think I live like a super loud lifestyle, so sometimes like if it gets too loud, then they don't really like that, but they're not aggressive. So even though I have this like here, it's from Isabel, but she got spooked from the coffee maker one time because I never make coffee, and that one time I made coffee and then she like freaked out. Um, but I am trying to be a little bit productive, even though it's a lot easier for me to just. It's either I'm super productive or I'm not productive at all. So, the thing with like my pouches, like when I'm doing color work for the pouches, I tend to catch the floats more just because I don't want anything getting caught. Um, Obviously, like I don't want my hands to get caught in the floats on the inside. And if it's a larger garment, I tend to, it depends what it is, because sometimes I catch the floats more, sometimes I just let the floats be what they are and don't catch them as frequently in the garment. But I would say if I don't catch them as much, it would be in a garment because they tend to to felt anyway over time. And for like the yarn that I use for it, I can't say for all the yarn, but um, and then you're like not putting your hand in there, if that makes sense. Uh, like and for tear bags and for mittens as well. Like I would catch the floats more frequently because of that. I'm just loving this combination. And it's honestly about time because I've loved the combination, but I go through different, I guess, phases of color for some of this stuff. I've been pretty frequent, like across the board with like the yellow and blue. I used to knit other colors and like more earthier colors and not saying, I mean, I don't know. I don't really do that now. Another thing, like with the color work, I don't know if this will be like a helpful video because you'll have to kind of dig into the video or something. I mean, most people have gone here for tarot, but I'm enjoying myself, so um I would also say for your if you are catching floats, and again, it's up to you if you want to do that. I know there's like a debate on whether or not like people do catch them. Some people don't catch floats, and I can see that for garments. But when you're catching floats, to not have them lined up, like so sometimes you might do like a pattern in your head of like maybe this round I'll catch floats every couple of stitches, like this number of stitches, and then the next round it would be a different number of stitches that you would catch them. Because you don't want them to ladder, and if you have them ladder, sometimes if they ladder too much or if they're that like poignant and evident that they're there, it's gonna be noticeable and it's gonna dig into like your color work or your act like the piece that you're making. So um that's what I did a lot for that's what I do a lot for the Pray for Ukraine mittens because I don't want things to just ladder, and then you'll be able to see like where I caught the floats or something. I don't even know. Like I try to put it a little bit higher up. Mm. So I have this red too. It looks like this because I tried to find the center of this. I think I wanted to use it for something else, and then I couldn't find the center, and so it just looks like this now. And hopefully, like when I knit enough of it, it's not going to be as all over the place. There's definitely a difference in here. For this one, it's like slightly darker, even though on camera it doesn't look like that. And that's why it was so great seeing it in person too, because I was gonna get another yarn and then I ended up getting this one. This kind of feels like it's like wet soft. I don't know if that makes sense, or like cold wet soft. And then this one feels like kind of crunchy. Not in a bad way because I love Rumagarn. This is Rumagarn Phenol that I got in the set last year. I was thinking about getting a set this year, but I was like trying to use up the yarn, and I was thinking maybe I would get the yarn while I was when I moved, and um, I saw this one popped up, so I immediately went there to check it out. And there was also like the part of it where I knit with like the Latvian yarn, the hobby wool yarn, and I loved that one so much that I was just it was like it weighs on my mind of how much I love that colorway. I don't really know, or just to say that like that was another reason why I didn't get that Rumagard, because I was also seeing there was one that was like summer berries where it had different shades of red and orange. Um, I thought maybe that would be nice too, but since I got the Retrosaria, I don't need to do that. By the way, this is what I normally keep the Slavic Legends Tarot in. I got this in Savers a couple of years ago when I lived in New England, and there's nothing wrong with the case. It's actually lasted a long time since I feel like it's one of those older things that stand the test of time for the most part, because things are just like made differently. And so it's a class one, and I have the deck in here. I got these rosary. Well, I have a rosary in here that was given to me. It's from France, and it still smells like roses because it's rosewood, I believe. It smells like roses regardless. And then um, the deck is in here, so I'll show what it looks like with it being in the deck bag. So it is this. I don't know what's my thing with like not being in the house. I don't mind it if I feel like I feel like I have stuff to do. It's not like I don't have stuff to do, but I tend to get bored. And then I guess driving, I don't even do like super exciting things, by the way. I get, well, maybe for some people, like I go to the bookstore, I get like, I see the different drinks that I like to try. I really like cold frappes, like that I get at different places. Some call them frappes, some call them frappuccinos. I I like to try different ones, but I usually stick with like the um, same flavors. But this is what it looks like in the bag, and I'm a little more than halfway done the chicken chart here. This video also kind of gave me not an incentive to finish it, but more of I guess the feeling is like you're gonna keep filming and you're gonna finish the project. So I am knitting. It is a matter of sitting down. I tend to I don't know if it's easier here to look at it. Um, And this is how I tension my yarn. I feel like it's what you do. Maybe some might do it a little different, but because I have the Norwegian thimble, which is nice too, and I used it for some things, but this is what I normally do because I think right now it's just quicker. Now, what's nice about the thimble too is that you could have the, like, you can hold the yarn within the ring if you hold, like, the different colors in one hand because I'll show it in a second, but I would say that the bird is probably my favorite chart to knit. It's just kind of fun. And I have my stitch marker here. You don't need a stitch marker there, but I just look at it and I know immediately that I'm in the beginning of the round because you're knitting the pattern twice. And maybe if I was actually knitting like the cow, I might think differently of which chart I like more, just because I wouldn't carry less. I would carry less or I wouldn't carry at all, like carry the floats. Because right now I'm carrying the floats, which kind of makes it a little more tedious, but it's not bad. I don't mind carrying floats. And I don't know if you could see, I to oh my god, to make sure that there's enough give to the float, sometimes I end up knitting over my finger to give it like more space for it to stretch in case it needs to stretch so it's not stretching and then it's too tight and then your color work ends up like puckering. And even that, like, washing the garment can make a big difference too, or washing the garment, washing your knitted object in general, since this is a taro bag, is good because then you'll see the potential what the yarn will be like. Right now I'm using my ChiaoGoo 4-inch tips. This is in the size 4, and honestly, I didn't tighten them or anything, but I just kind of do it as I go. I don't mind that much. It didn't take long for me to like this needle tip because it was close to the Ginger Shorties. The only thing was that it was slippery at first, so sometimes I felt like maybe the tip wasn't the length that I was going for because the 5-inch or the standard size isn't that far off from the 4-inch. But I do prefer the shorter ones because I feel like you can do more things with this one. And I think it's becoming more of a, so this is what I have so far, more of a more popular tip because before I didn't see this length. And now I've seen it in a couple of stores, which is great because I do like to have extras. I know people might just be like, you could just switch out the needles or like take a needle from another project, and I'm like, I could, but I don't like doing that because sometimes I'm like, what did I knit this with? Because a lot of times like I might increase the needle size or decrease it depending on how I want the fit to be, um, how the gauge is when I knit it, the project, and those things just compute to, or they're like the reasons of, or not reasons, but I guess the things that I think about when I'm picking out the needles for the project and how it will, I guess, knit when I'm knitting with certain types of yarn. I do like the knitting with the ChiaoGoos with the rustic yarn, and I have knit pretty much all the yarn with that I've experienced that I've had experience knitting with the ginger shorties just because I've used them the most. I will show my Norwegian thimble. As I said, I feel like it's a sterling silver one just because of the way that my skin isn't reacting to it and it's not staining it and it doesn't smell. Um, because it was a couple dollars more in the store, but it also looks like the metal is the material is different. So this is the thimble, and then if you could see, there's 2 points or 2 places where you can put yarn. You can put the yarn through both places, or it's up to you. But I have it here. I usually have it where the swirl is facing on outwards and just knit away with it. I might do the other project, but I don't know if I have time. It's 34 minutes already. And I guess I have DPNs. I don't have them on me right now. But I mainly use DPNs when I'm knitting sleeves. towards the end, or maybe like towards the halfway point of knitting a garment, is when I normally switch over to the DPNs. It might be a little bit hectic next week because my godmother's family is visiting. I'm not going to really stick around that much. I'll say, well, I'll spend a little time with the cats, but I might be going somewhere else because it's going to be a full house anyway, so I don't know if you could. Hopefully, you were able to see the knitting because sometimes I just bring the knitting down. And tomorrow, as I said, my godmother will have guests over, so I'll figure out something to do. The bird is almost done. I'm gonna think like how many rounds I'm gonna end up doing to the for the top because this is one of the this is the shortest, not well, it's shorter than the other tarot bag that I knit with this pattern because I'm using the birds this time. And it's a good thing I looked at where the stitch marker was because I was thinking, where am I? But I'm at the part where I'm putting the eye in, so I might have to think about how I'm doing the top. I was thinking I would put a button in. I was looking at the red buttons, but I might do something else with that. And I have other buttons that I can see. I think I have the tube one, the wooden one still. So I might use that, but I might use that for something else. So I'll see what looks like appropriate for this project. So I have two more rounds for the bird. Like I said, like this probably could have gotten done a while ago, but making the video gives me more of an incentive to finish it. Uh, Sorry, 1 second. One of the stitches had to be the other color. But it's a good thing this isn't a big chart, and sometimes I have done it in a garment, but there was enough room for the float. So honestly, I just picked up the float from the last round and kind of just used it as that color that I needed, if that makes sense. Made it into a stitch. Technically, there's some plain rows in this section, and I'll knit some of them. I do want to see what I'm gonna end up doing. One second, I might just, uh, 'cause after a while, I'm starting to sink in towards the back, because I'm slipping with the bed sheet. Okay, last bird round. So I think it's getting a little tangled, so I'll have to do something about that. Sorry, I was also gonna watch a grocery haul too. I haven't cooked and baked in a while. I just cook in my kitchen. Um, I really like baking blueberry pie and apple cake. I think I've made apple cake like on a weekly basis when I had my apartment. It's probably my favorite. I am picky about the apples, so so the latest apple that I have tried, and I don't usually eat the apples, these apples. It's the green apples, but I like the sugar apples, like the I think the sugar bee apples. And they just have so much flavor. It's weird because I don't eat it like when it's not baked into the cake. I do like the way that it tastes when it's not baked into the cake, but it's a lot for my teeth. So I try not to, but they are really delicious. So if you hear that in the background, I never really addressed it for the past couple of videos. It's the fan because I'm that person that does not like sharing the fan. I just want it like on me. And I'm so sorry. I just like to be cool at all times. I'm not even like, it's not even like, well, it's a basement, so technically it's like above ground, which is different, but I think I still consider it a basement because it's on a hill. So I'll show the app. I don't know, I was gonna say apple. I'll show the bird after doing like a round of plain knitting. So a round of the black since it's the main color. And then I'll maybe make a video log of what I'll do after, like for the final things. And like I said, for a lot of this, I'm well every round I'm catching floats just because it's a pouch. Again, you don't want stuff getting stuck in the floats. But again, it depends on like how I feel too about the project. Sometimes I don't catch floats for like garments. Or I do it sparingly. Like it might be a little bit until like I catch a float. But for this, it's like every other stitch. Um, so if you get the motion of it down, it it'll be fine. So I'll do a plain round, and at some point I'll show the finished product. Let me show how it is with the deck in it now. It was a couple of rounds more, but I'll still keep the red on there because there is another round with just the red. I might top it with red too. I kind of have a little ways to go from the top because it is a shorter round or a shorter section. So it'll be a couple more rounds of the black for sure. But again, let me just show after this. And then the other side. And it's like an hour, and I have done a couple of rounds. I guess I was also talking too, but for me, with everything that the other things that I do, even though I'm not doing much these days, I would say it takes me less than a week. And if I'm working, it would take me around a week to do this. I also want to use like the needle and cord, as I said, to use it for another tarot bag. So I'm finishing this. And I guess I was like, how much can I knit in an hour? Because it's like 58, 59, 1 hour. And I was like here, and I knit this section in an hour. So, um, again, maybe if I wasn't talking, it would have been a little quicker, but I'm happy that I finished the birds, and I'll show it uh, in another video and in a video log of the finished product. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in other videos. Sorry, I was like thinking like, should I do another round of the birds? Or is that gonna be too big? I'm thinking, but it might be something to do actually. So I'll decide. I'll see you in another video.